Okay, big gigs. I mean, you were renowned for your huge gigs in the 80s, weren't you? Tell us about some of the big gigs that you remember.
Well, I suppose, the obvious one is Live Aid. And there's a sort of bittersweetness there because Geldof called us up.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were going through the door into the big league, and the song you just played there, Don't You Forget About Me, is #1 in the States at that time, and Geldof called us up. We didn't feature on the Band-Aid record, so to get a call from him, it was just great, and he spoke about this gig that was going to happen and all who was already in, and it would be great for Simple Minds to be there. You couldn't believe it, listening to the names. And he went, so you'll be in Philadelphia? And I went, well...
Little did you know.
All our pals are in London.
Yeah.
And he went, I won't say what he said, you can imagine, you'd have to bleep it all out. But what do you tell you? You're #1 in America. You say you're hot. I said, you got to do it in America. But it was a bit like but our pals are in London. We don't know anyone in America, but it turns out it wasn't so bad after all.
Wasn't the worst request that you've ever said yes to. What was it like because we've talked to loads of people about the London side of it. What was it like? What was the Philadelphia arrangement like?
Well, it was amazing, Chris. I mean, it was 100,000 there, and but it was really surreal. I mean, because of course, being America, you had like a lot of real, like Jack Nicholson and a lot of celebs that were kind of not in music, So it was a really bizarre mix. I got to jam with Bo Diddley that day.
Wow.
And the Beach Boys are there, and there's and Jack Nicholson, he introduced us on stage, so it was pretty weird.
Yeah.
And there was the famous, was it Phil Collins and Concorde?
Yep.
All of that, yes. And then
for people who don't know, what am I talking about?
Well, it was a Live Aid, for people who don't know. It was a gig that happened kind of simultaneously. They overlap because of the time difference. And the one act, or the one artist, who managed to play both in London and Philadelphia was none other than Phil Collins, as you've just mentioned. But I think it was through Richard Branson who had organised that Phil would come off the London gig and beat the clock to arrive and play. And I mean, I was saying there about doing a matinee in the one venue, doing 2 gigs either side of the Atlantic. And Phil, amazingly, played both. But it really was mind blowing. As Charlie said, I remember walking up the stairs. I mean, our manager at the time, Bruce Finlay, great guy, he gave us a bit of a sort of Churchillian speech before we went on, and we were taking the middle, this is your Everest, lads, It was all that, because we had this big hit, but people hadn't really seen us live. And in America, you have to be able to do it live. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And live to 120,000 people. Yeah. And Bruce said, if you can, 15 minutes, and that is, I mean, being a live band is one thing, but those things where you get 15 minutes, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint. Yeah. And
you see, all the better for it in retrospect.
Well, that's true. Impact.
And same with Queen, and same with everybody who smashed it that day.
Yeah.
Maybe 50. Maybe that was the key to everybody's tipping point. The fact that it was 15 minutes. Yeah. You had to get out there.
Yeah.
It was like an audition in a way, wasn't it, for the rest of your career?